Welcome to Sonic Rites Festival. And today we have MERYL STREEK here as a guest of ours. How are you feeling?
I'm good. How are you? You doing all right?
I'm doing all right. When did you arrive here to Helsinki?
I arrived late last night and slept well and just sound checked, so all going good so far.
Are you touring at the moment?
I'm always touring, but with this it is just a kind of once off, and then I'm in Austria next weekend, but I'm just always touring. Yeah.
Are you going to release any new music in the near future or?
Yeah, so I'm trying to finish off the third album at the moment, and my last album charted in the UK there in October, which was quite surreal really, and it's just been, the momentum behind MERYL STREEK at the moment is absolutely crazy. It shocks me every day, but the third album I'm trying to finish off at the moment, so maybe early next week, early next year for a release, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So I think you perform by yourself on stage.
I have done for 2.5 years, and it's mad. I've played massive venues, like 5,000 people venues some nights, and it's like, I seem to capture an audience with just a microphone and a bunch of roses, so I'm either doing something wrong or right, you know? Yeah. But I think there will be a little bit of adjustment in the live setup this year at some point. Okay. I'm not going to give too much away, though.
Okay, that's okay. So I think you have very much political messages in your music.
Yeah, absolutely. I give out a lot about the housing crisis in Ireland, but to be honest, it's kind of not just Ireland, it's kind of everywhere at the moment. Housing costs, drug addiction, alcoholism. I sing about stuff that people kind of can relate to, I guess, in a way, and that's kind of what the music's about.
Do you feel like music is a place where you should kind of bring these themes out and to be spoken about?
Absolutely, because in this day and age, the media in all of our countries are poisoned. They're paid, they're bought, you know. So I can pay a PR firm next week to speak highly of me, you know. It's a rigged game. So I think art is the last message we have. Yeah.
So you released your album Songs for the Deceased last year, and that was the album that charted. And are these the themes that are present in that album also that you talked about?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, a lot of songs for the deceased were like. There's cases about a kid called Terence Wheelock who was murdered by the police in Ireland 20 years ago, and the family are still seeking justice. There's one about a fire that has been kind of the pinnacle of anyone my age in Ireland's childhood, growing up here, and how these families never got justice for their loved ones that were lost in the fire back in the 80s in Ireland. So it's Song to the Deceased was more of a personal record about real cases that happened in Ireland, and it's very real.
So are these the songs for the deceased? Are these the deceased people?
Exactly, So every song is basically centered around someone that is no longer with us, yeah.
So you make music about people that you think the society has forgotten or mistreated, or am I getting this right?
Yeah, that's correct. Mistreated and forgotten, both, yeah. Definitely. The cases that people don't want, essentially, people talking about anymore, and this is going back to the media being poisoned because the media should be talking about it, but they're not, you know?
Do you think that this message gets through to your audience as well, or do they, of course, listen to you for the music, but do they also relate to the message that you bring out?
Any city I play, and it's funny, as I'm kind of breaking into Europe a little bit more, I have people coming up to me in Athens, for example, last month, and they related to the message because there had been a kid also murdered by the police there the month before, and what I'm finding with MERYL STREEK is any city or country I go to, the stories translate so well because the same stuff happens in each place, so it's quite eye-opening really to see this, you know.
How do you take this personally when people share their stories? Is it hard for you?
It's been getting a little bit tricky already. I get a lot of messages and emails, and sometimes people send couriers to the venues in the UK with letters for me, and some of the stories I've heard are quite quite hard to hear, you know, but it's an emotional kind of music, and if people kind of relate to it and click onto it that much, then it can only be a compliment, really.
Yeah, then you're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Well, I think we have one last question for you. What is the proper way to enjoy a Guinness pint?
I don't drink. I'm off it. I'm off the Guinness 5 years, but I miss it a lot. The honest way to have a good Guinness, I don't know. If you're going to ask me that, it's like have 10 of them and fall home. That's why I don't drink anymore.
Thank you so much, and
Thank you.
We wish you a very good gig.
Cheers, thanks so much.